Hello guys, and welcome to another TKG Games tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the interview question that asks us to determine if two strings are anagrams of each other. So the definition of anagram is a word, phrase, or name formed by rearranging the characters of another, such as cinema from Iceman. So we can see that all of the character counts from cinema actually matches that of Iceman, and the character count from Iceman matches that of cinema, right? So this will qualify them as anagrams of each other. However, we are programmers, so we can have a string like this. No, I'm using this, but since we're programmers, we might want to do some type of manipulation with this string. So let's say, for example, that we actually had the anagram of this string, right, rearranged. So what we might want to do is use the original string to figure out how to get back the original order of the second one. So we can do something like string search for something that would match like there, right, with all of the characters, and then we can get that back, and then we can reorder it, right? So this anagram program, what I want to do is I actually want to go ahead and make this program versatile, where we can either keep the spaces or not, right? So if we're dealing with one word, we might just take off all the spaces, but if we're dealing with a sentence like this, we might want to keep the order of the spaces and still be able to tell if it's an anagram or not. So let's go ahead and implement the solution. So what I want to do first is create a method that we can use to actually remove these spaces. So this is going to be I'm going to make everything static just because they're easy to call. All right, I'm going to call this one replace spaces and lowercase. The lowercase is just to make sure that if we want to put everything to lowercase, since we want things to be don't want things to be case sensitive, we can all convert it to one case. All right. And what we need here is a boolean, and I'm going to say this one's going to be too lower. This is going to be able to, if you want to pick to lowercase or if you just want to remove the spaces. Okay, so we're going to say that if is too lower, then what we want to do is we want to actually return the string with all of the spaces taken off. And so this is the ochar, and then what we want to do is we want to convert this to lowercase. Okay, then we can just go ahead and actually just return the string with no spaces. So we can either remove the spaces and convert everything to lowercase, or we just leave the string with no spaces. All right, so next thing we want to do is we actually want to create the algorithm to see if both both strings are actually anagrams of each other. So we're going to do this by counting. I'm going to say this is going to be string 1 or string S and string T. So those are the two strings that we want to use. So what we want to do is we want to actually figure out how we want to keep track of the string. So we want to do them by character, and we know that we can use the ASCII table, right? So the ASCII table represents character by indexes or by numbers, right? And we know that it's 256. So what we can do is we can actually create a variable, and let me make this final, and I'm going to call this one ASCII code, and this is going to equal 256. All right, so what we need to do next is we need to keep track of we need a way to keep track of the character. So we can use a variable, right? We can use an array. So I'm going to say var s counter is going to equal to new int, and this is going to be the ASCII code. All right, and then we need another one for t. So we're going to say var t counter is going to equal to new int ASCII code. Next, we need to keep track of these spaces. So I'm going to say var t space is going to equal to 0, and var s space is going to equal to 0. All right. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and do the counting. So I'm going to say for var c s.toChar array. Okay. So what I want to do is that we're going to say that if we use the character class, that is space char C. Then what I want to do is we want to increment the AS space. All right, so it says space plus plus. Else, we want to go ahead and increment where that character is found inside of that array. So I'm going to say S, and then the subscript is actually going to be the character, and so we're going to increment that. So remember that we can easily go from int, a character can easily go from int back to char, right? So if we have char A is going to be the int representation or the byte representation as 65. Okay, so the subscript is actually going to be converted into, the character is going to be converted into int here. All right, so with that done, what we can do is we could just go ahead and copy this, and we want to do the same thing for T, right? So we're going to change this to T, and change this to T, and change this to T. So now that we have this here, what we want to do is that we already have the character count, so we can just say that if S space is not equal to T space, then we can go ahead here and just return false. Okay, because the spaces have to match, right? Next, we're going to say that we're going to create a for loop. We're going to say var, it's going to be the len equal to 0. This is len is going to be less than the ASCII codes. Do len plus plus. All right, so we're going to say that if s counter dot length is not equal to t counter, the subscript len, then we're going to go ahead and return false, because it's saying that the char count doesn't match. Or if that goes through that and it's done, then we're going to go ahead and return true. Okay, so I hope you guys got the logic. So what we do is we keep containers to hold the array count, hold the space count. We convert to char array. We go through each character, we count the amount of spaces, and we count the amount of letters, which is the same thing for the second string. We check the spaces. If the spaces do not match, then we return false. And then we go through to check the characters. If the characters do not match, we return false. If that passes, then we just go ahead and return true. So what I want to do now is we want to just create the shell to run the method. So this is where we do a little bit of tricks here, just to make sure that we can run the type of variation that we want. This is going to be a static boolean. I'm going to call this one is anagram by count. So by counting, it's going to take in a string s, string t, boolean to lower, and then this is going to take another boolean, and this is going to be let's see, keep spaces. Okay, so what I want to do is we want to do a few prerequisites. So we're going to say that if s equal to null, or t equal to null, then what I want to do is we want to go ahead and return false. Okay, next one is we're going to say if s dot is empty and t dot is empty, then what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and return true, right? Because it's actually anagrams of each other. Next, what we want to do is we actually want to say that if keep spaces, right? You know what? Let's do remove spaces. Okay, not keep spaces here. So remove spaces. So we're going to say that if remove spaces, then we want to remove the spaces from the actual string. So we're going to say that t is going to equal replace, and then it's going to pass in T, and then to lower. And we're going to do the same thing for S. So we're going to say S is going to equal replace, and I'm going to say T S, and this is going to be to lower. All right. So we can choose to either remove the spaces or not. Okay. So if we say this is going to be false, we just never runs the code and we keep the original strings. And this is going to say that if s.length is not equal to t.length, then we're going to go ahead and return false, because if the strings are not equal, then it's not like going to be an anagram. Okay. And then what I want to do is we're actually going to go ahead and return counting. You want to pass in S and want to pass in T. Okay, and this will complete the logic for the counting solution. What I want to do is we actually want to test the strings. So I'm going to go ahead here and create main. Whew. It's hot in LA. Alright, so what I'm going to do is create some variables, and I'm going to say the end of the world. And then next I want to create another variable, which is an anagram of this. So I'll say S1 equal to HTE D and E FOETH and world ORLDW. Okay, so you can see that they match. Now what I want to do is keep track of another variable just to return the boolean, and this is going to be the is anagram. So we're going to pass in S1. Okay, so next what we want to do is do you want to convert it to lower or not, right? So we can pass in true, but if the keep spaces is not true, then it's not going to do any of the conversion, right? So what we want to do is this is going to run off the original string. However, the original string is an anagram already, so I'm going to print out B. So let's go ahead and run the original string. So we can see that the original string is an anagram, and we're not taking the character casing in consideration here. We are taking the character casing in consideration here. So if I were to change this to capital H, this is going to go ahead and fail because it no longer works anymore, because we're taking that the casing matters here. Okay, the case sensitivity matters here. However, if we were to change this to true, right? So if we were to go ahead and change this to true, then the casing here will no longer matter, because we're going to convert everything to lowercase. So this is going to go ahead and return true. And if we were to take this from true to false, right, then the character is still going to, the character casing is going to matter, because all it's going to do is truncate the spacing, but it's not going to truncate the, it's not going to convert the uppercase to lowercase. So it's going to return false. Okay, so you can see that it's working. All right, so now what we do is that, let's say that we have something like this. All right, so we have there here and there here. Okay, and if we didn't care, if we cared about spacing, right, and let me put this into lowercase here. So if we cared about the actual spacing in between, then we want to go ahead and use this. If we use the is lower is false, right? It will still work, because the second one is going to go ahead and remove all of the characters. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, and you see that it's going to give us true. However, if we make this false, then it's no longer going to work, because it's going to keep track of the character count, and it's going to say the character counts don't match. So we are going to get false here. Alright guys, this will be it for this solution. I have 3 more solutions, and I'm thinking about if I should put that online or not, but they're just the same as this one, except the second one is going to use sorting, and with sorting it's a little bit trickier if we want to keep the solution working like this, because With sorting, you have to keep all of the spaces at the front, right? If you create a custom sort using comparator or use the eraser sort, or you write a custom sort, all of these spaces will go to the front. And even though we want to keep the string the way it was originally, it's hard to do that with sorting. But I'll take a look. I'm still going to provide you guys with a solution, and you replace one. Alright guys, this is the video for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Bye bye.